Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Modern Enterprise Architecture Meetup brought to you by From Here On. And today's topic, career pathways into enterprise architecture. So good afternoon to those of you in Australia and New Zealand, and good morning to the early risers tuning in from UK and Europe. So please take a moment to introduce yourselves in the comments and let us know where you're watching us from and what you do. Are you an enterprise architect or you would like to be one? I'm Jana Martins, talent and community lead here at From Here On, and I'll be your host for today. So we all know there is no single path into enterprise architecture. People arrive from the different backgrounds, sometimes without even realizing they already doing it. So in this session, Aaron, Jack, and Rob share their stories, how they found their way, what they learned along the way, and how their career continued to evolve. So if you're curious about pivoting into enterprise architecture or want just to see many roads that leads here, this session is for you. So I always encourage you to participate, share your thoughts, questions, or just, again, quick hello in the comments. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, so we're going to answer your questions from both platforms. And this is a group, that's a space for architects, leaders to connect, exchange ideas, and grow as a community. So it's enough of me. We also have some, exciting upcoming events that I'm going to tell you at the end of the session. But I'm just going to pass to our speakers to introduce themselves. Aaron, please.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Aaron Koosland. So I'm an enterprise architecture consultant here at From Here On. Been here for about 18 months now. It's been great fun. Looking forward to taking everyone through my career journey and some of the insights I've got for how I got here and tips and tricks for other people that might be thinking about the same career choice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, Jack Hatcher. I'm a service designer from Here On. I'm pretty new to the enterprise architecture world, so looking forward to sharing how I got here and how I'm finding it so far.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, Robert Will here. I've been with From Here On for about 4.5 years now, and before that, lots of different roles. So really looking forward to sharing my journey today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We have a few people saying hi. James is here. Nag is here. And is here. Pretty much everyone from Melbourne who's commenting. Okay, so Melbourne, go Melbourne, the active people. So guys, please say hi to us, because if you're not saying hi, we kind of don't know that you're here, and it's a bit of a sad, Thank you, Bernice here, Ayush here. Thank you guys for leaving the comments. So anyway, so before we dive into the stories, the career stories, I want to just quickly share a poll that we ran on LinkedIn last week. We basically ask you, what do you think is the best background for becoming a great enterprise architect? And, the options you can see on the screen, and you can see the results of our poll. So we had 53 people voted last week. And as you can see, over half of the respondents choose business and consulting as the best background. And whoever's listening to us, make sure to drop in the comments. If you didn't vote in this poll, this is your chance. Please comment if you think, that business and consulting is the best background or not. So what's your opinion? But people who voted thinks that, business and consulting is the best background. I guess since the role is so much about strategy and influence, obviously strong technical background, 30% makes sense. You need to understand how things actually works in practice. And, design and CX been a bit not that popular in our poll. But, we also know that naturally that design and system thinking could be great start of enterprise architecture career as well. So it all makes sense. Enterprise architecture is a diverse role shaped by a mix of skills, perspective, experience. And that's why the career path is not that straightforward as well. So there's definitely some different opinions there. I guess, we have a few comments coming in. Yeah, business, consulting plus technical, routing technical. business. Rob, what do you think? What do you think about our poll results?
Not surprising, really. I think a lot of those responses do kind of indicate the more traditional view of enterprise architecture being more kind of businessy, consulting, and technical backgrounded. But I think we're going to see a lot of growth in the design and customer experience spaces as strategy and technology decision making becomes more democratized across different organizations.
Aaron, do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I can jump in as well. Completely agree, Rob. I think it was a good point. I know one of the other dimensions to think of it though is like, we've got the different, places people come from, but I don't think enterprise architecture is necessarily like one job, if that makes sense. Like I think you get some enterprise architects that have an amazingly strong business consulting background, and they're great at setting up workshops and, actually getting in and understand the business. But then you also need like the more technical focused architects as well if you've got a really complicated problem. Then having like CX didn't get a lot of love there, but to be honest, I think having people that are really good at CX and visually communicating is like pretty important as well. So I think it takes a bit of a team of people with different skill sets to actually deliver some of these jobs. Yeah.
I mean, our poll can be biased as well, because a lot of people who are following our page will be coming from consulting backgrounds. That makes sense that they choose the consulting is the best background for becoming the architect. But there's definitely a few comments about that technical plus consulting background as well. So let's listen to real stories to see, where what the careers our speakers have, and maybe you find something different and find like some maybe unusual career paths into enterprise architecture. And we'll start with Rob, since the design wasn't that popular. Please, over to you.
So my path did come through design, but I'll start way back at the start. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I still don't know what I want to be. But coming out of uni, I knew that I just loved solving problems, and specifically business and corporate problems. And I graduated with a marketing and economics specialty and business management. So that really kind of fed my desire to investigate what else is out there that can feed that problem-solving desire. After a bit of travel and time looking for work, I enrolled in a web development course, thinking I'd make my millions on the next biggest app. But that I think a lot of us had that dream, and I was one of the many that you just didn't make it. But in learning about web development, the logic and the problem solving in the technical space really appealed to me. But one thing didn't feel right was kind of a lack of vision and influence over the business world and business decisions, and not really understanding where requirements were fed from and how and why they came to be. So I found out about the role of business analysts and process analysts, and got into a bunch of project delivery for digital transformations. And that was another piece of the puzzle, that led me on my path towards enterprise architecture. But still something was missing for me. And that was what I think is kind of the final piece of the puzzle, which is that design element and understanding and bringing a view of the customer world into organizational and business decision-making. And so that led me to explore CX and service design roles, supporting customer experience practices and lots of digital transformation projects as a service designer. And that was really enriching. And that took me to lots of places, not only in Australia. So when I did return a few years ago, I found the role of enterprise architect, learned more about it. And, the the technical background, the business analyst, and as well as the design and CX experience I had, really all came together in what I do now. And yeah, I think I'm all the better off for it.
And Rob, since you didn't know kind of like where you're going to be in the beginning, what actually made you to even consider enterprise architecture as a role?
Yeah, really good question. From here on, the recruiter at the time reached out to me, and that was really, really great for starters. But then when I started to read more about what was on our blog, website, the approach that we had, I found that the problems we were trying to solve and how we were trying to solve them was mirroring my own approach and my own frameworks that I had been building and developing over the last few years. And then I think how From Here On treats design and architecture as two sides of the same coin really gelled with me, and that stuck with me. So yeah, just a meeting of minds.
So you actually never physically apply for enterprise architecture role?
No, never before my job at From Here On had I considered a role in architecture or even enterprise architecture.
So it's so that the role find you without actually realizing that you're already doing so many pieces of the work. There actually is a comment from Justin as well. I joined From Here On because I wanted to be able to influence whole of the system thinking and design. I let alone that I was called enterprise architect, that I have a 25 years experience in health. So I guess similar story from Justin as well. And I'm actually curious, guys, whoever's listening to us, did anyone here, was going to uni and say, I want to be enterprise architect? I wonder if there's like one person on LinkedIn who was like, I'm going to the uni, I'm going to do, I don't know, the degree because that's all I want. I want to be enterprise architect. So curious to hear if anyone watching this stream or replay, if there's a person who knew from the beginning. Aaron, let's listen to your story.
Sure.
Did you dream about to be enterprise architect in the kindergarten?
I did not, funnily enough. No, same as Rob. I never applied for an enterprise architecture job, but they seem to happen. So my journey is a bit long and windy, maybe a bit longer than the other guys. So I think I look back, this is probably my fourth career, somewhere around there, and it's covered about 20 years so far. So I started off super technical. So I was doing repairs of catering equipment, and I was doing stereos for a while. I worked for Clarion, actually, doing stereo, like soldering all day long, and a bit of product development work. So started off in kind of microelectronics, doing that work, and that was great fun. I really enjoyed it, and I liked building things and fixing things. I kind of found that they're two things I really enjoy. But then after a while of breathing in like leaded solder fumes all day long, I thought, maybe it's time to move off from this, and went back to uni and got my electrical engineering degree. So did that, then worked as a professional engineer for a while, and so worked mostly power companies, but got really great exposure to like not only engineering as a profession, but also how do large organizations work? How do they plan, capital expenses? How do these things work at scale? And so that was something I picked up and sort of ran with, and ended up in more of an asset management role. In doing that, I kind of picked up like, oh, great, I've got some really good technical fundamentals here, but I probably need to bulk out the business side as well. So it was then I started going back and got my MBA as well. So after doing that for a while, moved on to do more of a data and analytics role. So start off with smart meter data, building like machine learning use cases and doing analytics on those. But kind of went towards building some large, analytics systems. And at the same time, was able to pick up some more leadership roles. So step into that kind of team lead, line manager position there, which was a good experience. And so, doing that again, I think was really able to shape my view of how to make value at a company, how to not just do things, but do things that matter. And so it was starting to come together. I enjoyed building, fixing things. I'm getting a picture for how companies actually work, and I'm getting a feel for how to really deliver value in them. At that point, I made a move into some more government work, so more management work inside of government spaces, which was great, working in business intelligence, and also spending a bit of time doing just general intelligence. I guess one of the bigger achievements then was I was the state intelligence manager for a while in the State Control Centre during COVID. So it was a really incredible time being in there, working with Defence Force and all the different emergency agencies, trying to coordinate the intelligence for the COVID response. So it was a really interesting experience. Just get thrown in the deep end and deal with it as it comes. A skill that I later found really useful in consulting. So after doing that for a bit, stepped out to do a bit of data and analytics consulting work, and that was going around throughout different government agencies and private agencies, helping them understand how to make value with their data and information. And while I was doing this, got tapped on the shoulder by From Here On as well, saying, "Hey, this seems like you could be a good fit here." And I've come aboard, and the rest is history, really. Yeah, been going since then.
There you go. And what was your first exposure to enterprise architecture?
I was actually doing some consulting work at a local government authority, and as you do in there, helping with some large transformation projects, and then got asked whether I could be the enterprise architect for the organization and set up their enterprise architecture practice. And without knowing at all what that meant, I agreed and said, "Yep, I can 100% do that." It's the fake it till you make it approach. Immediately after that conversation, I went away and Googled what is an enterprise architect. And then as I look at, all the different things that an EA has to do, I go, oh, actually, this is stuff I'm already doing. It's, helping the organization make decisions, taking a strategic approach, creating roadmaps to be able to drive the business forward. I looked at those and went, oh, this is stuff I do anyway, honestly. And so, kind of fell backwards into that role, which was, a really good experience. Yeah, good fun.
Makes sense. I can't see any comments of anyone who dream about being enterprise architect from kindergarten. So everyone's silence. I think we're not have any takers. But guys, if your story maybe resonates with Rob's or Aaron, would like to hear from you as well. Maybe just put in a comment, just your quick career journey would be really interesting to see. If you move, I don't know, maybe more from software engineering or from business analyst side or somewhere. Drop it in the comments. We'll be curious to see how people moving their career. And on that note, Jack, would love to hear your story. Could be a bit different from the previous ones.
Yeah, I think we're about to get really rogue in terms of my background. So I am probably a bit of an outlier in terms of the background where I came from. So I started my career actually designing window displays for retail stores while I was studying photography back in the UK. And through doing all of that visual design work, that sort of began to grow into something a lot bigger, where I started doing the planning and designing of full retail spaces, looking at how products are placed, how customers move through stores, and the different levers you can pull to try and influence behavior through design. This is kind of, I guess, where I learned that design wasn't just about how something looks, but it's actually about how people interact with things, and that the smallest decisions can actually really change or shape an experience, or potentially how something functions. That then led me to Vietnam, where I was responsible for leading the design and implementation of new stores as part of an organization's push into Southeast Asia market. It was probably one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my whole entire life, building a store from the ground up with a team who didn't really speak any English, and there was not really a established playbook to work from. So I really had to learn new ways to communicate, coordinate, lead. There was lots of sketches, mock-ups, and just really trying to build that shared understanding. It also taught me a huge amount about adaptability, problem solving, and I guess the importance of really clear design intent. Luckily enough, that kind of led me to moving to New Zealand, where I got to join an organization that was taking part in a large transformation program. It's the first time I probably worked across a really complex organization and requiring me to bring together lots of different functions to align on a shared goal. But what it was really around building on everything I'd learned before around collaboration, process, and connecting, I guess, a creative intent to also really clear operational delivery. And that then, for some obscure reason, led me to working in the energy sector, which I never thought I would do. I went from essentially dressing and designing windows to suddenly being in the middle of a hydro power station, looking at a giant turbine and a dam, which was pretty crazy. And that was, I guess, where I started to realize that the skills that I had built over time were the things that I were good at rather than necessarily the output or the thing that I was delivering. And so when I made my move to lovely Australia, which is where I am now, my focus was really to think about what are the things that not only do I enjoy, but the things that I'm also really good at, and start searching for, I guess, roles and businesses that aligned with those things. And that's how I discovered the lovely From Here On. Landed on your guys' page, and all of those kind of cool things around creative problem solving, solving things through design, taking a really human-centered lens. And I applied. Luckily, I got it, which is why I'm here now. So I've been here for, I think, 6 months. Definitely still learning a lot more around the EA practice. But for anyone who is interested, I do highly recommend it. It is fascinating. If you're someone that likes lots of learning, then this is the career for you.
Great. And Jack, what was actually the moment you realized that you already doing some sort of, parts of enterprise architecture?
That was back in the power company. We were launching a self-service design kit to sort of help teams solve problems. And I met a brilliant man called Paolo, who was the head of the enterprise architecture unit. And he said, I think we're doing quite similar things, just at maybe a different scale. And so we got to sort of sit down, talk about processes. He kind of took me through an introduction to what EA is. And I got to work really closely alongside his team to kind of also help support build out some of his practices as well. So when I moved over to Australia, that was definitely something that I started to look into in terms of how could I get more familiar with it and get better exposure, which clearly I have managed to achieve.
There you go. I like that both, like, in both your stories, Aaron and you, Jack, like, for you, it was sort of the Paolo who explained you who's the enterprise architect. Aaron just had to like Google it quickly. I think it's still sort of a big question here. Who is these people? Like, what's the actually enterprise architects do? I don't know. Like, Aaron, like when you're Googling, what was the
what does it come up with?
Comment?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's all different kinds of enterprise architects out there. And so like when you Google it, you get a lot of information. And so some of it comes up with, you need to know. The TOGAF and the Zachman framework and all those sort of things. But then if you go a bit deeper, I don't know, you really just find that it's about applying some kind of methodology to solve a problem within a set of constraints, right? That's what I found. Like you just get chucked into a business and you go, here's the problem, here's our constraints, what do we do? And you've got your kind of a toolkit of enterprise architecture things you pull out and you start applying them to try and solve the problem. And so, and there's so many different kinds of enterprise architects out there. They all approach things differently. But there's a lot to the discipline.
Jack, was it the same that Paolo told you?
I asked Paolo to describe it to me like he was talking to his, at that time, 6-year-old son. And he said, imagine flying a plane 30,000 feet in the air and being able to look at everything that's happening and then connecting all those dots together to find the root cause of an issue. And I was like, you've just blown my mind. And he was like, there's a lot more to it. So, and I think to your point, Aaron, there is many versions of how it can show up. But that was my my introduction, was planes.
We have actually quite a few people commenting with their careers. Avni saying almost a similar story, I think, from Aaron. Naturally progressed towards enterprise architect role while delivering an architecture pieces of transformation program. Steve is saying started on the business side doing building design, jump over the technology side, and then have been somewhere between the two scenes, embedded in construction project team, providing technology, leading digital transformation efforts, and being EA outreach for the formal EA team. There we go. Handel saying, and apology if I mispronounce your name, my education background is statistic and industrial engineering helped me to have analytical thinking skills. Started on the business side as an end user and realized enjoying technical problem solving and designing roadmaps. Also worked as a master solution architect. I don't have the architect title yet. There you go. So there's quite a few good stories out here. And there's actually a question from Steve when we were doing the poll. Would you have been... would have been good to have a domain expertise as one of the poll choices, as a distinct from general business consulting knowledge. What do you think, guys? Is like being, the expert in some domain. Rob, for you?
Absolutely agree. I've come across quite a few people that have come up from a domain-specific role and found their way through some sort of digital transformation into an architecture and advisory role, and then into enterprise architect. Specifically, one that comes to mind is someone who used to be an accountant back in the, I think, early 2000s, was part of an ERP implementation or uplift project. And then from there on, never looked back and just went from EA role to EA role. Now is head of enterprise architecture and strategy at a large multinational. So yeah, it's definitely not uncommon, and it's a great path into EA.
Yep. Knowing the particular business inside out, yeah.
Just to add on to that, I guess there's maybe a little pivot I think that needs to be made at that point, going from being a domain expert to an enterprise architect as well, is to maybe open your view up a bit to see that problems can come from different angles. Like I think, a lot of the time people come from, accounting or something, and then they get into it and go, oh, everything's just an accounting problem. They've got a hammer, so everything's a nail. Like making that little twist from any domain to be able to go, cool. And now, problems and solutions can come from all different places. So I need to think about things more broadly, which I think, Jack, that's your seeing things from the plane, idea of just look at things holistically. It's not just an accounting problem. It's not just a tech problem. It's not just a business process problem. It's a everything's broken problem. Yeah.
That's why designers can be great.
And I think Justin is our good example. 25 years in the health industry, knowing the health inside out as well.
Yep.
Being the great addition for the health clients. There's a few more questions coming through, and guys, feel free to put your questions in the comments or the opinions welcome. Panit is saying business consulting background is more aligned with the business architecture. However, enterprise architecture touches all domains: business, technical, data, and strategy. So what do you think, guys? Business architecture versus enterprise architecture?
Yeah, no, I think it's she's right. Coming from that business consulting background, which probably more aligns with me, it's important, and it does align with the business architecture domain more. But I think it's good to be business aligned a bit. Like if you had to pick one of them to be aligned with too much, I think it would be business rather than tech, because we often have the other problem of people come from a tech background and it's very much, I want to play with a cool thing. I want to do something nerdy. Whereas I think if you have someone that is just solely focused on business value and how am I going to make this work for the business, and the tech is subservient, I think that's a better combination than the other way around. Yeah.
Thank you. While you guys thinking about the questions, I want to ask another question. What do you think was the biggest challenge in your career, or maybe like the steepest learning curve on your, kind of journey to enterprise architecture? Rob, did you had any kind of like a particular learning curve or anything?
Yeah, I think each time I go into a new industry or business and they have a custom technology solution for something, it takes a little bit of time for me to wrap my head around. But often with my background and as an EA, you start to see patterns that are consistent across lots of different technologies. And so while at first it might be a bit jarring, it's quite normal to see it and easy to overcome once you know what to look out for. So yeah, more in-depth technical aspects sometimes are challenging.
Aaron, can you relate to that, or you had a different curves?
Well enough, I think, Rob, the stuff that kind of learning curve is the bit that I enjoy the most. I really enjoy parachuting into places and just being like, oh, cool, I'm working in the building industry now. Right, okay, let's learn that. That's good fun to get thrown into random situations, and you're always on like a super steep learning curve. But I find that as one of the pluses of the job. Probably, I don't know, the area I found more challenging was getting to grips with the real nuts and bolts of like technical architecture. So, I'm fine with technology and spend a lot of time working with tech, but getting up to speed on, TOGAF and really trying to understand the ins and outs, or, from here on, we use our own design methodology as well. But being across that in enough detail to not just be able to regurgitate it, but get it and use it in anger to really solve problems. I found that to be quite a steep learning curve, because it really is about reshaping how you think about problems as a whole. But yeah, so that was an interesting one.
Jack, what was the biggest challenge in your career?
I mean, mine was definitely trying to open a store in a country I didn't speak the language. Well, 3 stores. But something that I think was really valuable around that was the importance of really simplistic communication, and also the power of it, and stepping into, I think to Aaron's point, sometimes you would kind of get thrown into these completely different realms and worlds. Being able to use that as a sort of superpower to not only communicate to the new people that you're working with, but to also try and drive that coming back, so that you're getting a really clear understanding in sometimes maybe, yes, a very, basic, simple term, but I guess not being afraid to sometimes start there to be able to build on top of it, because I think we've all probably lived in a land sometimes where the jargon takes over, and it feels like you're either going mad or just clueless.
Yeah, I think like it's a great example of like speaking like literally different language when the people don't understand, like in this case English, and you need to find the communicate. But it's sort of the same, like transferring the language from the technical to the business side. So it's sort of like the similar skills. I don't know if you ever experience it. Sometimes you come to another country. I definitely experience it, and people telling you something, they realize you don't understand, and what they do, they're just saying it louder. and think that would help. I've definitely experienced it a lot when I moved to Australia. So, and that's a thing that's sounds like a skill that's so far from enterprise architecture, but that's true. It's like how you can learn to communicate to people and explain different things to people with the different backgrounds.
I think that's actually probably like it's a really important skill, because like when people are not understanding what you're talking about, I think the natural reaction that I've seen from architects and consultants sometimes is just make more slides. Like we can just describe it with a couple more slides, and you end up giving a 200-page slide deck over to people. There you go. I've explained everything really well. But I think that's where like Jack, your like superpower of just being like, no, don't do that. That's bad. Say fewer things, but say them well, say them precisely, get your point across, right? It's important. It makes a real difference.
Just to add to that, I also see that while it's just throw more slides at the problem, The other knee-jerk reaction is maybe they don't understand TOGAF, or maybe they don't understand capability modeling. And instead of meeting our stakeholders and clients at their level in a language that they understand, I see sometimes architects fall back on the frameworks that they've been taught in a technical manner, but don't actually match up to the world that everyone else experiences.
Yeah, makes sense. We have a few more questions from the audience. We probably have 10 more minutes left of our stream. So guys, if you have like a last question, please make sure to drop in the comments. Hamish is asking, what resources did the team use to learn how to be an EA? Rob, which resources did you use?
I'll learn by doing, really. What is the 70-20-10 approach to learning? Definitely most of my knowledge as being an EA is built on the job, working with others, asking questions, and measuring up against some publicly available frameworks as well. So I think someone mentioned in chat, I don't know, IASA Global. But,
yeah, Hamish mentioned this. Yeah.
SFIA, there's some good frameworks out there to check what skills you need to evolve as an EA. So there's lots out there. But also just try it. Just get involved with the models and the tools and talk to the EAs that you have around you if you're lucky enough.
Aaron, what about you? Did you use any specific resources?
I think probably the only specific one I used, there's a training course. I was trying to remember the name of the company that ran it, but it eludes me at the moment. But I think going and doing the actual TOGAF, either fundamentals or the certification, even just to pick up that common lexicon, like the common set of words between people, because you work with a lot of different architects, be able to say, hey, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to set up an architecture vision. And then all the TOGAF people can go, oh yeah, okay, I know what you mean. So I think going through doing one of those courses is useful, but 100% it's you get thrown into the fire, learn from those around you, and see it in practice. I think is learned so much more from doing that, and just general arguments around the office. That's not what this means. It means that. So you get a group of architects together and they'll argue over meta models all day long. So it's good for learning as well.
Jack, anything to add to?
Probably just, in terms of, I guess it's always relative to what your preference of your learning style is. Mine is, if I see something happening, it makes it click for me so much more. So I was very lucky, like I said, to get to meet a group of architects and got to shadow a couple of them in some of their workshops and stuff they were doing to kind of just see, what is this all about? And for me, that was a really big light bulb moment. So I guess for everyone it's different. For some people it'll be reading, some people it will be similar to me doing. So I guess whatever suits you, find a thing that can benefit you in that way.
Yeah, Peter was saying getting a mentor. It's always a good strategy.
I'd have to agree with that. Seeing as that Peter mentored me for a while. Yeah.
Here we go.
Thought you'd get away in the background there, Peter.
The LinkedIn, the place where everyone meets here. So last question before we finishing up today. It's a tricky question, I guess, from Avani. How are organizations drawing boundaries between roles like enterprise architecture, solution architecture, and AI architecture, especially when AI strategy is now part of enterprise transformation? We're actually definitely going to run future live streams around AI architecture. Avani, if you just keep joining, keep following our page and the meetup group. There's a few topics scheduled for next year around that AI architecture and human in the loop and things like that. But yeah, so guys, just now your quick views on what organizations doing.
So I think it's the breakdown between them, like the lines between them are breaking down a little bit. I'm finding as more AI and different texts roll onto the space. I know something even doing in the last few days is working out how to use AI to automate enterprise architecture, but into solution architecture, as well as, you know, business analysis. And then as you start rolling these technologies in, you kind of go, oh, actually the lines between them are a bit arbitrary. They're all just like different people on the way of solving problems. So I suspect they'll kind of merge into, you know, one thing down the track. But yeah, the whole AI architect, especially from a I don't know, strategy perspective, is obviously emerging so quickly. It's so hard to stay on top of. I mean, recommendations that you provided last week, you know, there'll be a new, whatever it was, the OpenAI Dev Day came out, and you go, okay, now I have to react to that as well. So it changes so quickly. It's a hard one to be, I don't know, current on.
Jack, do you agree, or do you have anything to add?
I probably say with, and just in my experience, any drawing boundaries for a lot of those cross-functional type areas is something that I think continuously evolves, to Aaron's point. And this is probably even faster than maybe a more traditional sense. But I think it's something that is always evolving and shifting. And that's kind of, I guess, part of some of the stuff that the EAs currently do as well, is actually looking at how those boundaries shift across all different parts of the organization as well. So yeah.
Perfect. And cautious about the time, I guess there's one more question I want to ask the team. You know, if you could leave our audience with just, you know, one key takeaway from today's discussion. So sort of, I guess, one tip that gives someone, what tip that you would give someone who pivoting into enterprise architecture career today? What would be your advice? You know, the top advice on the journey. Aaron, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Top piece of advice is probably just give it a shot. I mean, it seems intimidating, especially if, you know, when you see the scale of some of the organizations and the problems that you get exposed to. But really, if you're good at problem solving, it's just sustained problem solving. You're the person that has the time and the space to really think about the problems. Just keep working at it. You're probably as good as anyone else out there. So just give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah.
Jack, something to add to that?
Yeah, probably, I guess, I mean, myself as an example, I think sometimes if we limit ourselves to, you know, looking at a title or a particular role, it can be really limiting. But thinking about the skills and the things that you enjoy, you'll probably find a lot of them show up within the EA type practice. So I guess it's thinking about, yeah, to Aaron's point, you know, it comes to problem solving, etc. What are those things you enjoy? What are the skills that you continuously want to develop? And focus on looking for things that deliver that, rather than maybe a specific title or name of something. It's always shifting constantly, right?
Rob, over to you.
Yeah, I'd like to agree and echo Aaron's sentiment, but then also add, if you're lucky enough to be working for an organization with an enterprise architect or a practice of enterprise architects, reach out to them, ask them what problems they're solving, and if you can help out, just get involved and reach out to people.
And get a mentor, as Peter said. And last comment from Peter as well. When or can we stop calling enterprise architecture a role? Recognize it as a skill that is useful as many roles: strategic consultants, information planning, IT operational optimization, and so on. I mean, we can probably say it about a lot of roles these days, because the job titles, it's probably the biggest struggle for everyone. And sometimes we get like boxed in a, you know, little box because we have that title, and sometimes people don't see that, you know, it's just so many transferable skills and things. I think it's the problem of the titles and roles is a bigger problem than just enterprise architecture. But I guess, as Jack said, you know, it's all about what you're good at, what problem you're solving. It's not about the titles. Okay. And on that exciting note, I'll give you some announcements for next month. So next month we're gonna do the topic. Next month, 11th of November, our next stream. We're going to talk about vibe coding, of course, popular topic these days. In this session, we explore how vibe coding is changing problem solving for non-technical users, the enterprise challenges, the code slope governance, and the problem of disposable apps, and what it actually means for the future of consulting and architecture, including new skills, new roles, and new risk. Maybe touch on that AI architect role as well. So make sure don't miss it. And guess what? To get notified, you just need to do the all usual stuff. You can join our meetup group, Modern Enterprise Architecture on Meetup. You can just follow us on LinkedIn as well, because we always run all the events on LinkedIn as well. But Meetup is easier because then you get the reminders and registration. So we have 3 meetups groups, depends where you're located, in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. So try to actually join the meetup group in your location, because we also have face-to-face events. We're going to have a big event at the end of the year in Melbourne. We have over 100 architects last year, and I think I'm going to run some sort of competition this year about the best dad joke about 100 architects coming into the bar. Stay tuned, get your jokes ready. We'll run some competition with some Christmas prizes. And of course, as usual, if you looking for maybe for your new opportunity in enterprise architecture or business transformation, make sure to connect with me. You can just connect with me and message me on LinkedIn, or if LinkedIn messages isn't your thing, you can always reach out to us via our career website and email talent@fromhereon.com. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. If you missed any comments, we'll make sure to take it offline and answer your questions. Thank you, people saying thank you in the comments. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you in November. I guess I've muted everyone. You can't hear you saying bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
See you.